You startled me.
I'm sure.
Can't decide what's right and what's left anymore. So many options.
What's up, Ian?
Well, when we last visited, we were in the throes of creating this round trunk deck lid item. So I decided I'm going to put some support in here. Today we're going to hinge it and test it. There's a lot of stress in this. It's all tack welded around the perimeter of it, so the chances of it changing shape when we cut it free are pretty high. So I'm going to put a cross of this same tube through here. Then we'll cap it with sheet metal, but it's got to open too. There's no provision for that. So I thought,
Oops. Oops.
this production crew is having some technical difficulties
I just
today.
tripped over that and tripped over those.
So many people in the room. There's barely enough floor space to provide.
Anyway, sorry, my bad.
Focus. You look at your door hinge, right? Look at most every kind of hinge on a car. There's no elaborate bearings or anything special. It's simply door pin and a sleeve, right? Think about the amount of times that this thing in this car is going to pivot. It probably doesn't even need to be greased. So that's where it's at. It's not going to be adjustable. This thing is not going to be that kind of thing. It's going to operate on a very limited capacity. So I believe this round tube as the pin and this square tube, it fits in there perfectly. That with some grease in this car will literally last an eternity. Watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Still has not even affected the slop in the hinge. Have I made my point?
Yes, I feel like you have.
Excellent. So to do that, we're going to set up the hinges first. And the way I do so many things is, I build this whole contraption, etc., and then cut it free. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. I'm imagining, see the gap here? It's going to open like a trash can lid. A lot of the stuff I do will have a hinge pin down in here, and the entire thing will swing out. We're not going to really need that on this. And the fact that you'd just be grabbing this small portion of this big panel, it increases the chance to flex that hinge. So I'm seeing a hinge up here somewhere. That way the panel will actually fall into the car on this side. So it'll have this spread on the hinges.
Mm.
Can you dig it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be as simple as splitting this tube into two pieces right on that seam, on the underside, of course. Cutting this so that sticks with the car and that sticks with this deck lid. So I'm going to cut 4 pieces, half the size of this.
I noticed you've been utilizing your mat a lot more.
I tell you.
Ian and I are flirting, and I just had to edit it all out.
I get no respect. No respect at all. Now I'm going to put this hinge in first because I'm going to build my way out of the trunk cavity. I'm going to have to get underneath in there, look around. Could be a little bit of a game of Twister for a moment, but we're going to get through it. Never built a lid like this on a vehicle, so let's see if it works.
I'm excited.
You like my shirt?
Mm-hmm.
Rumor has it. I'm not even saying it because rumor is just rumor at this point.
Yes.
You like one of these?
Yes, please.
Whatever you do, don't look into the light. You got these little pieces in place. And I'm imagining somewhere around there would be adequate. Just gonna put a level on here because that's really all I care about, is that this thing is hinged level. Car's on the ground. That is hinged level. So we're seeing the rod pass through here. And again, we're setting this up to be welded on the underside. That's where it gets exciting. Yeah, well, that'll work out perfect. Might not even be as big a challenge as I thought. Look at that. So what's happening on the underside is this is grabbing that tube perfectly, and then this one will grab that.
Mm.
And I'll explain how it all comes apart once I weld it. You may agree, you may not. That's fine. My prerogative. So I'm looking through the gap where the panels will split, and I'm keeping that this tube away from that gap completely. And I can weld this. One thing to be cautious of when you're doing this type of thing is you don't want to weld it so hard that it grabs the inner tube, because then you'll never get it out.
Oh.
So see, that's the way that this comes apart in the end. Let me show you this.
I was trying to get the helmet shot, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it.
Oh. So ultimately this rod gets cut and removed, but what replaces it is something similar to this. This is a hinge pin or a hitch pin for a trailer hitch. So it could be threaded on the end, or it could just have a cotter pin in there. It'll just slip in to remove this thing. You got two of them, you slip it out. Now let this cool down a little, we'll go for another tack. Yeah, we definitely don't want to warp this. Complicate everything. I don't want to hear any jokes about trash can lid on my car, if you catch my drift. Somebody did say that Jamie's sports swing would look awesome sticking out of this round hole. It's like a little basket, you just insert it and she's along for the ride. That would be epic. So I mentioned building my way out of this thing, right? So there we are. Take this, that's got to be cut out already. It's in the way. We're just going to nip this off. I kept this in complete width because it makes a perfect straight shot. If your hinges aren't aligned, it's not going to open properly. So now that these are landed, I could take the whole center out. Save that for the next one. All right, so I'm going to crank this down a little bit. This doesn't necessarily have to be even or anything. We're just looking for some support. So I'm just eyeballing it. If it's a ½ inch off either way, it isn't going to affect anything. You don't even see it. This is the inner structure. A little cross brace on there. And as long as it looks pretty much there. All right, take that half to there. See if the eyes are on point. One try. Ooh, nailed it. So this support is working a bit like spokes on a wheel, you know, look at the ring roller. So between this structure and then the round sheet metal cap, I'm hoping, again, hoping that that's enough to keep it in shape. A little bit more of a gap than I like. Make it happen. So in instances like this, in a perfect world, you would do what's called a fish mouth. You would have this tube custom cut to overlap a bit, but for this, we're not seeing it. I'm going to turn the heat on the welder down a little bit and just weld that up. What I'll do is I'll start right in the center here with the biggest gap. Just get that weld to bridge, move around. Is it the best way to fit up tubes? Heck no. In this instance, it's going to be fine. So where I've got it already joined now, I can work off of that. Again, the welder's set pretty low on heat. That's what all the popping is. You can only pull this off with thin walled material. You would never do this with anything structural. A couple people commented that with all the wind that comes through the shop, that flux core wire would be a better option. And I'll agree with you on that. It does have a bit more shielding than just the gas in a windy situation, but I've always used this MIG with the bottle, so creature of habit, sure. I don't want to go changing out a bunch of stuff, so if I'm outside, I got to weld a fence, had a generator and a small machine, heck yeah, flux core all the way. Not in my shop. As I mentioned, we're building our way out. Had that good tack weld up there that I just popped off yesterday. I'll line it right back up. Set this into position. Begin by re-tacking that one. Okay, I want to trim this a little bit more with the grinder before we finalize that, but that'll hold. All right, we got a little mismatch on the sheet metal here. Mark that. Say we want that. Yeah, cut that with the grinder. right, well, it's starting to really warm up that panel, so I think it's not going to change shape if we release it, I hope. So let's cut it free and see the hinges. There's some stress in there. I was just playing with y'all. Oh, these tacks got to get trimmed out. Because it's only one saw blade through the tack. Well, we got to take them all the way off. Try this again, shall we? It's not gonna work.
What?
It's not gonna work.
Why isn't it gonna work?
No, it's binding up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what you've seen here is the completion of a perfectly round deck lid that doesn't warp. Stand by while we revisit the hinge issue. I have to think about that. Never said I had an engineering degree. I could live with that look, though. Why doesn't it? Somebody out there knows. Maybe the hinges had to be on top.
I think, okay, this is what I think. I think the hinge should have been further up. You know what I mean? Like, not so low, more like, not the middle, because I know you want to open it to make room, but it just seems like it should have been up just a teeny bit higher. That's my theory, but
Well, I'm going to politely disagree with you. I'm going to explain exactly what we should have done. It just hit me, and it's a simple fix. So, this is our lid, right?
mm-hmm.
Our hinge is underneath quite a bit. So this is spinning around the hinge.
Mm-hmm.
The hinge needs to be put straight through the center. It needs to be drilled right through. So this is swinging directly on it and not going around the clock.
Ah.
That's because look, it's picking it up. See, it's lifting it. Because this is swinging. The whole lid is attempting to swing back and around that hinge pin.
All the engineers are cringing right now.
They ain't the only ones. You should have been the guy trying to lift this thing up. And well, good news is it didn't flex. Looks good like this. It shuts, but look at it, see? It came up. Yep. So what we need to do is get these pins through the center. So everything's marked out. I'm going to get in there with a drill. Drill through. I'm going to turn that frown upside down. Come back next time, won't you?